The next session is the long-awaited panel discussion on opportunities in the innovation and technology, financial and modern services sector in GBA. We're honored and privileged to have business leaders in the key sectors to share with us on their tips with expanding businesses in the GBA. 那我们第一个专题讨论的主题呢是科技业。The first panel discussion will be on the Innovation and Technology Center. May we first invite our distinguished guests to come on stage. On site in Hong Kong, we have Ms. Emily Zhang, General Manager, InvestHK. Please welcome on stage. 我们首先邀请我们在香港的嘉宾，分别是 InvestHK 的香港区总经理张慧仪女士，有请，掌声欢迎。Next, let's welcome on stage Mr. Samuel Ho, Chief Executive Officer, Nova Credit Limited. 掌声欢迎诺华诚信有限公司行政总裁何稼义先生。那我们在线上参与讨论的嘉宾有 Joining us online, we have Mr. Lawrence Lam, General Manager of Able China Technology Limited. 易华盛世广东科技有限公司总经理林非凡先生，我们掌声欢迎。So now we begin with the first panel discussion. Here we're focusing on financial sector. 那现在我们即将进入第一个专题讨论的环节。那大家如果有需要的话，可以运用耳机。我们呢会按照我们嘉宾的发言语言来进行发问。那其他的翻译呢，可以通过耳机去聆听。So first of all, we would like to direct the first question to Mr. Lawrence Lam, joining us here online. Hello, Mr. Lam.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, it's great to have you with us. So the first question we would like to ask you is that Able China Technology Limited is one of the early investors who entered China. Could you like to share with us more on your company background and why you chose GBA as your platform to expand?
My name is Lawrence, General Manager of Able China. I high-tech enterprise from Shenzhen. And our mother company, Best Glory Industrial Limited, is a Hong Kong company that has operated for 30 years. And our company specializes in manufacturing car navigation system and LC products that are selling to many countries worldwide. And we're among the first batch of investors to buy land and build factory in Shenzhen, 98, almost decades ago. And back in those days, the conditions for business were a lot more difficult compared to now. For example, transportation, labor, overall environment, they're just not as ideal as now. So 30 years later today, the Greater Bay Area development in almost, we have decided to take a big step in moving to Nansha. And we see this as a huge opportunity that we absolutely cannot miss out if we want to our company to a new level. So this is where our new headquarters will be the near decade. And the reason why we Nansha, the first reason is the location. As you all know, Nansha is located at the very center of the Greater Bay Area with extensive development in logistics and transportation. So it makes traveling to and from Nansha a lot more convenient and efficient. So believe it or not, it only takes me about 25 minutes to get to the Shenzhen airport and 35 minutes to get to Shenzhen infrastructure with the high-speed rail train. And ferry to Macau, and 1 hour's drive to all the development of the city in the Greater Bay Area. So basically, the space being a lot in traveling and transporting goods. So since that we can take to all these other cities easily,
This naturally gets us exposed to the many business opportunities and resources that these cities provide. For example, now we can get to meet a lot of new buyers, vendors, and bankers, and government officials, regardless of the city they are located at. So this is extremely beneficial for business cooperation and expansion. And the second reason why we move to Nansha is that we were really impressed with the planning of the government, as it has created a lot of benefits to our business. Currently, we are building a 20,000 square meter factory at a high-tech industrial area that is very well planned and organized by the government. And this is an area that is anticipated to have thousands of top-tier technological companies around the world moving in. And the environment, facility, and the transportation systems provided by the government are just incredible. It helps our factory staff to settle in much faster and easier, so that the overall work efficiency has improved a lot.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Lam. So to summarize, basically, you chose Nansha in Guangzhou to station your company. It's mainly because of the geographical location, how its advantage helps you to save the traveling time, and how it helps you to travel around really southern part of China. And also the tremendous support from the government, as well as the strategies, especially in the later on the new development in the transportation system, and those are some of the key reasons for you to have chosen Nansha, correct?
Yes, correct.
All right, very nice. Next question we would like to ask you is that what do you see as the potentials which GBA can offer to overseas investors and workers?
We think that besides having a nice modern factory and the latest automatic equipment, in order for our business to expand successfully, we would have to have a group of quality employees, especially the energetic and creative young people from China and overseas. And Nansha is the place that we think we can find these people easily. And because with various financial institutes and industrial plants and the medical centers, schools that are settling in Nansha. So it was attracting a lot of investors, and it also helps us to be able to employ 14 people from China and overseas.
All right.
As you know, the area is opening up a lot of opportunities for investors, businesses, and with the younger generation who wishes to strive for success. And Nansha is the place that starts decent restaurants, meals, entertainment, transportation system, and living standards that are fairly similar to Hong Kong. For example, Hong Kong University of Science and Technology just built a new campus that is about 15 minutes away from our factory. And the next policy for Hong Kong people to work in Nansha is just about the same as in Hong Kong. Also, the next policy for foreign investors in Nansha is one of us in China. So that we anticipate that there will be a lot of foreign investors and Hong Kong people will be coming to Nansha in the near future. So think that Nansha is like fish, connecting the greater area, Hong Kong, and the rest of the world. With this unique location, it fit with the government city planning and the support of the Chinese government. We think that we have made absolute right choice at moving our Fukuoka to Nansha because we believe that it's the best place for us to take our company to new heights.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Lam. We can see there are a lot of opportunities and potentials in Nansha, really, and especially with the newly released blueprint that encouraged the redevelopment of Nansha. Mr. Lam also mentioned that how many investors are actually looking into developing in Nansha as well. So we can see a lot of potentials there. Thank you very much, Mr. Lam, for your sharing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we would like to direct a question to Ms. Emily Zhang, General Manager of InvestHK, to share with us. The first question we would like to ask you is that, well, a little background information for our audience. InvestHK is a world-class life science company specialized in commercializing its proprietary 3D cell culture technology. The company is headquartered in Singapore with operations in Germany, Spain, Brazil, Australia, mainland China, and Hong Kong. Ms. Zhang, would you like to tell us more about InvestHK? What are the reasons behind to establishing an office in Hong Kong, and what strategic functions does your Hong Kong office serve? Would it be a testing base for overseas clinical technologies, R&D, hosting IP, or funding? Yes, please.
It's ready to you. Okay. First of all, I would like to say thank you to Invest Hong Kong for your invitation. It's my honor to be here to share a part as a foreign investor setting up our company in Hong Kong. InvestHK is a life science company. We are now providing clinical oncology services together with preclinical services on R&D, such as new drug discovery. So that part is important, I think, especially for medical and healthcare industry. We, like every company, they have their own mission. So our mission is actually want to provide or create a healthier society by providing the best possible healthcare to the patients. So our 3D cell culture technology was actually originally from Singapore, A-STAR, which is the government research institution. In 2019, we started, developed, and then started providing the 3D cell culture technology to the community. By utilizing the patient's own tumor cell, we culture the cell in our laboratory to form the tumor organoids. What is organoid? Organoids is actually the tumor cell from the patient. We culture it in our laboratory to expand more mini tumor. What's the use of the mini tumor? Actually, we perform our in vitro drug screening to check for the chemosensitivity or resistance to the tumor cell, whether it is workable for the patient. The test result will come out in about 2 to 3 weeks' time. Then we can provide the oncologist with more information, more data point for better direct patient's therapy and more personalized cancer treatment. So the advantages to the cancer patient is the patient do not need to test the drugs by themselves, and if it doesn't work, the patient need to, suffer a lot. So the test can minimize the unnecessary side effect to the patient and also reduce the cost and time for the treatment. So we set up the company in Hong Kong back in 2019. Why we set up the company in Hong Kong is because, of course, it's a strategic location, and also it is in strategic gateways to growing our business in mainland China. In mainland China, especially in the GBA, that is very close to Hong Kong, and actually Hong Kong is a part of the GBA, and so incorporating a company in Hong Kong, I mean, the incorporating procedure is simple and straightforward. It's almost welcome, investor to come to Hong Kong to set up the company. So we are also considering of the the very high quality of medical and healthcare services in Hong Kong. A very good legal system. Here we have a good talent workforce, and also many good reasons why we set up the company in Hong Kong. So that's why we have identified Hong Kong Science Park to set up a laboratory in providing the clinical services.
Right, a lot of advantages and
Yes.
Benefits of setting up the office in Hong Kong, right? It's a
Yeah.
gateway to the GBA as well as to the international market.
Yes,
But of
right.
course, as you mentioned, actually it leads me to the next question. We know that InvestHK chose Hong Kong Science Technology Park to host your lab facility and offering in vitro personalized clinical oncology tests. Would you like to tell us what sort of supportive measures that InvestHK receives from the Hong Kong STP in terms of R&D infrastructure, incubation support, and maybe in other areas?
Okay, we are really happy to have identified Hong Kong Science Park to set up to do our investment in setting up a lab facility. It's not easy for the setup, but it's good that the infrastructure that provided by Hong Kong STP really give us a lot of supportive measures, which including what I mentioned, the infrastructure, because it is an essential, very important part for the company to drive their journey along the way, and especially for startup and corporation. So they also set the ecosystem within the park and providing a lot of support, connecting, networking, connecting us to all those within the park company, and also all those institutional like researcher, university. So that really providing us a lot of support. So we are really happy to have make the good decision to set our lab facility in the Hong Kong Science Park. Yeah.
Wow, that's wonderful to
One
see.
more I think I'm missing is I just want to ensure I remember the one-stop shop support, especially for funding and capital matters related.
Yeah, a lot of support also from the government, right?
Yes,
Because we
right.
wanted to develop Hong Kong as the international innovation and technology hub as well. So in the I&T area, we're definitely receiving a lot of support. So one last question for you, Ms. Zhang. With the Greater Bay Area being an increasingly well-off city cluster and having a rising demand for more advanced and effective medical diagnosis and medical treatment, how do you see the future of InvestHK and other life science companies in the Greater Bay Area? And if you are to recommend a policy, is there a policy recommendation that you can share with us in promoting cross-border cooperation in biomedical services and related innovative science research?
Okay, the future, about the future of InvestHK. Like many other local and foreign companies, they are interested in the GBA. Of course, looking into the opportunity, potential, and then it's the same for InvestHK. Okay, the huge market, talking about 86 million population when compared with the Hong Kong, only about 10% of the population.
Right.
So we see a very big, a huge potential market in the GBA, and then the convenience, to travel between, Hong Kong and the other large city. So all this will drive us to have a long-term plan to extend our services further in the next few years. Actually, 1 year ago, we have already set up a pioneer team in Shenzhen. It's pioneer means we started to do some marketing research, and then the incorporation of the company that or an office lab facility in one of the city in the GBA. The pioneer team we set up in Shenzhen is because of the convenience, to travel from Hong Kong to Shenzhen is talking about within an hour. Yeah. So about the policy recommendation, how to cooperate, cross-the-border cooperation, right? I think more sharing from the park company, just like us, as for today, having the opportunity to share more about it, then we're definitely helping other biotech company or other industry. They show their interest and then know more about, how to set up a company, and then the investment related matters, and then how to recruit talent. All these things can really supporting, especially for startup company, when they first go to the journey in the GBA.
Yes, and I'm sure our colleagues at Invest Hong Kong will be able to provide more support as well.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah,
They customize many support to us.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Thank you.
Very promising as well. So we look forward to more developments from InvestHK.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Zhang, for the sharing. Thank you. All right, next let's talk with Mr. Samuel Ho, Chief Executive Officer of Nova Credit Limited. And we have a few questions for you, Mr. Ho.
Yes.
All right, so first of all, let me just briefly introduce the company to our guests. Nova Credit started as a Hong Kong-based credit bureau established in 2017, offering personal and SME credit rating services using data intelligence. Then in 2021, Nova Credit expanded into Nansha in Guangzhou. So first of all, Mr. Ho, would you like to tell us a bit more about Nova Credit and the synergies between the credit reference services in Hong Kong and Nansha?
Okay. First of all, let me introduce a bit. Nova is running a highly regulated business. Means we handle data, even for Hong Kong people, for Hong Kong companies. We established a Nansha platform in order to, build a bridge to enable the legitimate data flow between across the region, right? And actually, we highly comply with the local laws, data and cybersecurity requirements of both regions. And actually, we are inborn to provide a data service to FIs, financial institutions of Hong Kong, because most of our user is from banks and from maybe from money lenders, for example. I think the GBA development means more collaborations, and therefore it requires more data. Without data, right, you can't do KYB, KYC, whatever you like. Even you are offering the lending product to the cross region, right? Without data, you can't do that.
All right, so you chose Nansha, basically like a bridge between the two areas as well.
Right. In fact, right, we are the one with Nansha government's help, right? We build a financial infrastructure. We enable the FI to access the golden source information. For example, they use the information for KYC. To do some authentication of citizens between two regions. We utilize the platform to transfer some company data to verify the company backgrounds and including some legal informations and even some licensing informations, which is nowadays you can't even get the data through any kinds of data, any kinds of channels. At the very beginning, we just serve the banks, but we will considering to expand our service to other verticals, including insurance company, security company, and all kinds.
Mm-hmm. All right, so a lot of collaborations between the two cities and how you can exchange data in some way to facilitate your operation.
Right.
And so would you like to also expand a little bit more on what opportunities can Hong Kong credit rating agencies take in the Greater Bay Area?
Right. In fact, it is a wide space. Even nowadays, right, to some extent, the credit data or KYC data is quite sensitive. Especially, we will find a difference between the law of two regions, right? So many of companies in Hong Kong, they have some perception that your data is too sensitive. You are not allowed to transfer the data from Hong Kong to China or China to Hong Kong, right? But in fact, It is not the true story, not true. And you have to spend time to learn, to study the law and regulation between the regions. That you will find 80% are very common. You have to seek the help from the local government. As said, some of the guests already mentioned, the local government of China is very, very innovative and helpful. So you have to ask them, and they will tell you how to locate the policymaker and talk to them to make it happen. And in Hong Kong, you can also talk to our authorities, Hong Kong MA, PCPD, for connecting the right party to talk to you. So I would say if the company want to make it happen, the data transfer or data make a illegitimate data flow between the regions, you have to prepare, but not as difficult as you think.
So a lot of help and support, and they're pretty much open-minded in exploring like ways to make things happen.
Right.
All right. So one last question for you, Mr. Ho. What would be the challenges for credit rating agencies to provide cross-boundary data services from your experience? And how does Nova Credit facilitate financial institutions to play a role in the economic development of the GBA? What are your views?
Okay, right. My experience, I think we spent 2 years' time to tackle all the difficulties when we consider to build a data breach, right? The key challenges, as I mentioned, that is a difference between the law in regard of data protection, privacy, protection, and cybersecurity practice. That is a key. So I suggest you have to plan ahead. You have to talk to the local government. You have to consult some of reputable legal firm before you consider to do so, right? The second thing is I see so many company in Hong Kong, they take a very general approach to look at the data, right? My suggestion is the usage of data must be clearly defined and with a specific purpose, a specific consent. The internal policy about the data processing, retention, correction, and deletion should be clearly stated and documented. So need to do some of a background job before you want to do the data flow. You want to do the data connections, and that will be a key challenges. The last is I would say the education in the company is very important. When you talk to your staff about the data connections, usually we will find a very interesting feedback. It is very difficult, very sensitive. Don't do that. Usually, they don't have any evidence when you talk to your staff, even for my company, right? You have spent time to ask them to study the law, to look at it again. Some of internal education is very important.
Right, a lot of planning ahead, preparation work, clearly defining all the use of data that would really help, and of course educating the staff in the company. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Ho, and also Ms. Zhang, as well as Mr. Lam just joined us. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. A big round of applause to our speakers here today for this first session. Thank you. 那相信呢，通过刚刚的讲者们的分享，大家对于大湾区在科技业的一些机遇有了更深入的了解。那接下来呢，我们会进入的下一个讨论的主题将会是金融业。那跟以上的一个环节一样，我们也是非常荣幸邀请到一些特别有重量级的嘉宾为我们分享。So next, we're going to jump into the next panel discussion, which will be focusing on the financial sector. So like the previous section, we have invited distinguished speakers to share with us on their experience and also their tips in expanding their businesses in the GBA. So let me first introduce our speakers who are present here in Hong Kong. We have Mr. Hiroshi Masaki, Managing Director and Head of Hong Kong Branch, MUFG Bank Limited. Please welcome on stage. 掌声欢迎30 UFG 银行香港分行行长、执行董事兼董事总经理郑木宏先生。Please be seated. 坐在我们前海的会场的嘉宾有恒生前海基金管理有限公司副总经理、首席信息官兼营运总监史芳女士，掌声欢迎。Please welcome Ms. Xu Fang, Deputy General Manager, CIO and COO of Hang Seng Qianhai Fund Management Company Limited. 那我们的两位嘉宾准备好的话呢，我们会直接的进入我们专题讨论的环节。So I will be first interviewing our guests from Shanghai. OK? 那我们首先呢会先跟我们前海的嘉宾来一个讨论的部分。那史女士。
Greetings, Ms. Xi. Yes, good afternoon. I'm very happy to have you with us. So first of all, I would like to interview you. From your business point of view, Qianhai, what kind of attractiveness does Qianhai have for businesses? Well, Shenzhen Qianhai has become the most connected place to Hong Kong with the most collaboration in terms of collaboration of talents, cross-border trade, financial innovations, and so on. Qianhai has done a lot of exploration. Qianhai Hong Kong Cross-Border Financial Services Connect scheme has been established. So there is one-stop service available for the international development of enterprises. Better services and more convenience is delivered. Cross-border finance is already a brand of Qianhai. In the past 10 years, in financial cross-border business, many attempts were made. We made use of our own capital, and also there are banks from Hong Kong. We worked together with banks from Hong Kong and created the platform. And in the past, Macau and Hong Kong companies can only serve as participating shareholders. But now we also have companies with controlling shareholding held by Hong Kong company. And there are a lot of policy support in this regard. For example, tax concessions, subsidy for office rental, and also arrangement of trips by talent. So these are very favorable conditions for Qianhai. Qianhai is an important place for our country's financial reform and innovation. So in the future, there will be many important financial strategies and measures to be implemented first in Qianhai. So there will be a lot of first mover financial innovation and pilot schemes. All these will provide more opportunities for companies here at Qianhai. Thank you. All right, thank you, Ms. Xi. So in cross-border financial services, there is huge support, and at the same time, there are many policies that can attract talents. In the future, we are going to see a lot of government support. So this brings me to the next question. In the finance area, what kind of policies and supports has Qianhai introduced? So measures that can help enterprises and industries to develop. Can you share a few examples? Yes. In Qianhai, a number of policies have been formulated. There are some special project funds to support finance, talents, and industry development so that there would be better cooperation with Shenzhen and Hong Kong. Concerning support fund scheme for the finance sector and also cooperation with Hong Kong, there is very specialized support. There are measures for enterprises and talents and financial innovation and also financial projects. And then in terms of business-related policies, so let's say there are financial organizations from Hong Kong and Macau, so there is support in terms of tax concessions, office rental subsidy, relocation subsidy, and also incorporation assistance. In terms of talent policies, for example, when Hong Kong people start a business in Qianhai, there is also some subsidy and also talent visit concessions and other favorable treatments so that good talents can be brought into Qianhai. And then in terms of expanding the financial sectors, opening up to the external, well, there is Qianhai, Shenzhen, Hong Kong financial arrangement. There can be pilot schemes on financial innovation and innovative policies. So we are facing large foreign financial institutions and brands. So in terms of cross-border service and management efficiency and also quality, we have some inherent advantages and experience so that we can cultivate more deeply with the opportunities available. And then there is deepened cooperation with Shenzhen and Hong Kong, not only on the level of organizations, but there are also important financial collaboration platforms and important financial infrastructure. There are also Hong Kong, Macau organizations with special characteristics. For example, there is also the Cross-Border Wealth Management Connect. For all these moves, there are the necessary support and incentives so that we can promote financial innovation. In the future, when we cooperate with Hong Kong on cross-border business, more attempts can be made and more innovations can be developed. All these are really attractive. So in terms of companies and talents, there would be a lot of support from this concept because there are a lot of favorable policies and positive support. Okay, another question for Ms. Xi. Hang Seng Qianhai Fund being the first batch of the enterprises involved in this scheme, what is the development status and what are your expectations for future development? Okay, for Hang Seng Qianhai Fund as a Hong Kong-based controlling company, in our company, in the process of incorporation, development, and relocation, we have got the necessary support from relevant Qianhai authorities. In December 2021, we responded to the appeal by the Qianhai government, and we are among the first batch of financial companies that are Hong Kong-based moving into Qianhai. We believe that we can enjoy geographical advantage and very conducive supporting facilities. Now more and more financial institutions have picked Qianhai as their base to develop the business. I think the development potential is getting bigger, better and better. And for our fund, we make good use of our strengths as a Hong Kong-based company to develop cross-border business and special finance business to expand our capital scale. Since establishment, we find it very convenient to develop our businesses and to cooperate with various organizations. All these are because of our cooperation and attempts made in cross-border business. So since the Qianhai plan is being established, Hong Kong, Shenzhen work even more closely together, and there is wider room for collaboration between the two sides. Hong Kong enterprises enjoy wider room for development and a bigger market. In the future, I think our fund is going to take more reference from some good product design, risk management, and also business management experience so that we can develop in a better way. So our core capability of investment can be capitalized. We can make good use of policy resources from Qianhai to seize opportunities and to dig deeper into our potential. Specialized cross-border finance business can be established. We can also capitalize on our brand equity, and then we will work closely with financial institutions in the region to offer more professional, more diversified asset management service to expand the scale of our business. And then we can make greater contribution to collaboration between Shenzhen, Macau, and Hong Kong. Yes, thank you very much for your remarks. So it seems that in front of us there are so many opportunities. Thank you very much for your sharing, Ms. Ji. Thank you. Next, I'm going to have an exchange with our guest here.
Masaki, Managing Director and Head of Hong Kong Branch, MUFG Bank. So I have a few questions for you, Mr. Masaki. So first question, we know that MUFG is the largest bank in Japan. Following the merger of the Bank of Tokyo, Mitsubishi, and UFG Bank, would you like to tell us a bit more about the MUFG business activities in Hong Kong and its presence in the GBA?
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much for having me here. Very
Our
honored to
pleasure
be
to
here.
have you.
MUFG Bank is, as you said, Japanese bank and has a very long history in Hong Kong, nearly 70 years, 70. It started in 1952 with a representative office and followed by a full-service branch next year in 1953. So it's been maybe one of the oldest branch globally in MUFG Bank. And we have around 800 employees right now in Hong Kong, and we are focusing on wholesale banking business. And not only bank, we also have a group presence. MUFG Group provides comprehensive global financial service, including corporate banking, trust, securities, leasing in Hong Kong to Japanese customers, Hong Kong local customer, as well as multinational customers. And in terms of our history in mainland, dating back in 1980, we started with Beijing branch, and we expanded to Shanghai and Shenzhen and all other big cities, and we have reformed to a subsidiary bank in 2007. And since then, we became the biggest Japanese bank in mainland with 14 branches. And in terms of footprint in GBA, it goes back in maybe 1980s with our business with Shenzhen branch and Guangzhou branch. We have been expanding our business like together with Japanese corporates there. So we've been developing our business with Japanese corporate in South China. So we have a long history, and we've been developing with Japanese customers.
Indeed, with a 70-year history in Hong
Yes,
Kong, and also
indeed.
since the 80s, you have set up in Shenzhen and Guangzhou as well.
Yes, that's
All
right.
right. So the next question we have for you, a little bit background information for our audience again. According to the 2021 Invest Hong Kong Regional Headquarters Survey, Hong Kong hosts nearly 1,400 Japanese companies, which is the largest group of foreign companies that have set up offices in Hong Kong. That's a very interesting figure. With about half of them using Hong Kong as their regional headquarters or regional offices. Well, how does MUFG help Japanese business to grow in Hong Kong and in our neighboring and immense GBA markets? Would you like to share with us on that?
Yes, we've been supporting our Japanese customers I would say, along with their business development. Most of the Japanese companies in Hong Kong start business around in maybe 80s. They first set up trading company in Hong Kong to begin processing and assembling manufacturing in Guangdong province. When business door for foreign companies were widely open under China's reform and opening up policy. That was the first time when a lot of Japanese companies came to Hong Kong and Guangdong. And business in Hong Kong, since then, business in Hong Kong has been very diversified. As you know, we see a lot of types of Japanese companies in Hong Kong right now, including some of the Japanese company having regional headquarters, as you said, in Hong Kong as well. However, the types of Japanese company in Guangdong hasn't been changed. It was always manufacturing. And having said that, the strategy or the purpose of having manufacturing company in Guangdong has been changed. In the past, as I said, it was for outward processing or assembling. But after further deregulation, several kinds of manufacturing company came to mainland. It was around 2000. Good example is car manufacturing. So that has been changed. And now many Japanese customers are even focusing on domestic China market doing business. And the operation becoming bigger and bigger. And with this development in mainland side, the role of entity in Hong Kong side is changing as well. Some of them are thinking to add some new function like treasury or capital control function in Hong Kong, leveraging the competitive edge of Hong Kong. And also, it is, it is still evolving, and very recent trend, like Guangzhou or in the area of Dongguan, we see increasing number of Japanese companies trying to seeking opportunity to collaborate with local startups there in order for them to accelerate the innovation. So we've been helping Japanese customers strategic decision and action along with their historical changes. And we provide service in Hong Kong, mainland, as well as their parent in Japan. And especially working with parent companies in Japan is really important for us.
Exactly, I'm sure, because it's a foreign companies, right? In
That's
terms
right,
of
that's
Hong Kong's
right.
perspective. So a lot of great synergies between Hong Kong and other GBA cities as well. And I can tell from your response that and your sharing that the functions have been evolving, no matter in Hong Kong or in the GBA cities as well for the businesses. So I know Mr. Masaki must have many useful cases and successful cases that you can share with us. But since we have a little bit time limit there, I'll let you share with our guests later on in the networking session. And if you're interested, feel free to talk with Masaka-san. And thank you very much for your sharing, and thank you very much for Ms. Shi for joining us online as well. 再一次感谢徐女士为我们分享了那么多，也再一次感谢我们台上的嘉宾。Thank you. All right, that's really interesting to learn from different speakers from the perspective and their experience, right? So if you're interested, once again, feel free to chat with our speakers later on. So next we have another panel discussion, which will be focusing on our modern services sector. 那接下来的专题讨论主题呢，将会是现代的服务业。那首先呢，邀请到台上是我们香港会场的嘉宾。我们掌声有请金度律师事务所合伙人兼香港基金业务主管江静静先生。Please welcome Mr. Jing Jingjiang, partner and head of Hong Kong funds practice of King & Wood Mallesons. Please welcome on stage. Welcome. 那我们线上参与的嘉宾呢，有珠海林烟个芯片科技有限公司总经理李红俊先生。Joining us online, we have Mr. Albert Lee, CEO of Linyange Semiconductor Incorporated, Zhuhai. Please welcome. 好的，李先生你好。
主任你好。
Mr. Lee, hello. Hi. Good afternoon, MC. So first of all, let me speak to you first. And my first question for Mr. Lee. So in the chip sector, you have abundant experience. In addition, you also used to be the senior manager at Foxconn in Zhuhai. And so can you please let us know about the development of your company in Greater Bay Area? And thank you, MC, and good afternoon. So in 2018, I joined Hong Hai Foxconn. At that time, our group was planning on the semiconductor industry. So I joined in the chip design sector. Actually, for our group in the Greater Bay Area, we have been working for many years, especially in 2016. For semiconductor, we had already started investigation and looking into this area. And in December 2018, there was a major exhibition called the ICC. We took place in the exhibition, and we have decided to establish our office in Zhuhai, Hengqin, and until June 2020, and we had officially launched our company. In terms of our Zhuhai chip design team from the 5 founding members, and so far now, after 2 years, we have over 100 staff. In Shenzhen, we have also established a branch company. This year, we also have the plans to establish a representative office to provide more services actually for our business, from chip design and chip manufacturing, as well as module design. In the previous years, because of the shortage of chips, we have also provided channel sales services to our customers. And for the past 2 years, our revenue has grown very quickly. And perhaps you will think that chip design and versus chip services, what are the differences? So chip design companies and what they are doing, they are designing the chips and then sell the chips. Are in the meantime, for the chip design service companies, when they design their chips and perhaps they need to have extra other OEM factories and, for instance, to give the services and the orders to TSMC, and whilst they need the design companies, they would come to us. However, because this is a service industry, so it will continue to develop. And for instance, in the very early days, we call them ASIC design service. That is to say, when the customers, they have an idea, whatever the idea is, and the chip design companies will help them to design such chips. So this is the first generation. In addition, we go into the second generation for chip design companies. They have their unique features, for instance, in communications, in computations, in algorithms. And based on this, some of them will be carrying out manufacturing themselves. And for the rest of the large-scale productions, that will be given to chip design service companies. And at the moment, for our company, we are in generation 3. So in third generation, what is the design service? Apart from having their unique features and characters, not only helping with the customers to manufacture, we will also guide them to manufacture. That is to say, sometimes when for our company, we have a lot of sales volume on top of everything. And so when there are chips to be sold, we can also provide the sales channels. So we continue to diversify our business. Thank you. In a very short period of time, you have taught us a great lesson regarding the design of chips. And we can also see that in Hongqing, and since establishing in Hongqing, you have developed very fast from 5 people to over 100 people. This is a great success story. Can you please share with us, just now you mentioned about the chip industry development in the Greater Bay Area to establish the business. What are the advantages in Greater Bay Area? So let's take a look at mainland China, and most of the chip sectors and business, they are located in the eastern part of China, and therefore, so most of the companies are in the eastern part of China. But for GBA, we have a lot of systematic manufacturing capabilities. So with the upgrading of the industry, a lot of the system companies, they are also establishing design companies. And we can see that in GBA, in Shenzhen, we can see that our new chip design companies being established. And in the eastern part of China, it's about manufacturing. And in southern part of China, it's more about manufacturing and meeting the demand of the market. For instance, in Foxconn, in terms of the chips that we purchase every year, it's about $60 billion. And of course, we hope that we would be able to self-supply. And we hope that with our collaborators and our partners, we would be able to take control of this part. For Greater Bay Area, we have so much demand for chips as well as the manufacturing capability of modules. So this is the advantage whereby we are attracted. Thank you. That's a very complete support and comprehensive answer. So last but not least, in terms of the government, what are the areas that they can assist with the Greater Bay Area companies, and what advice would you give to the government? And you know that the chip industry is a highly international industry. We need international talents, international capital. Especially, for instance, in logistics, this is required by all different systems. If the government has a great living environment, commercial environment to attract talents, apart from this, we also need to have trust in the mainland Chinese talents, because the talents, they need to grow themselves. They need to be independent so that this industry can develop in a prosperous fashion. Apart from we ourselves, we also hope that the government would be able to provide more policy support so that our customers could come to us and to have a cluster effect. For instance, as I have said, we hope that we can build the bright future of the industry altogether. Thank you. And that is to say, to build a great environment, to attract a better talent, and to create a better environment for living and for business. Thank you, Mr. Lee, for your sharing. And now I move on to our speaker in Hong Kong on site with us.
Discussion today, Mr. Jiang. So the first question for you would be just a little background information for our audience as well. So King & Wood Mallesons is a global law firm with over 2,000 lawyers globally. So in the Greater Bay Area, you also have offices in Hong Kong, Shenzhen, Guangzhou, and Zhuhai. Would you like to please share with us the GBA strategy of KWM?
Thank you everyone, and very honored to be here. I was here on Monday sharing my views on family office and the wealth management industry, and today I'm happy to come back and share my view of our strategy and our firm's strategy in the GBA areas. And today's topic is about GBA. So if you look at the CE's policy address, and if you count the mentioned GBA 48 times. And in last year's policy address, they only mentioned 30 times. So it's like a 60% increase. So that means how much opportunity you have and how much this government is planning to do in this promising land. And I mean, before we talk about our firm's strategy, I think we also need to talk about the country and our nation's strategy, because our firm's strategy always follow the national strategy. So if you look at President Xi's speech when he attended the celebration of 21st anniversary of Hong Kong's return to motherland, President Xi put forward 4 proposals for hope, 4点希望. And a second proposal states that the central government will fully support Hong Kong to grasp the historic opportunity brought by the development of the country. And he encouraged Hong Kong to dovetail with national strategies such as 14th Five-Year Plan, the GBA Development and Belt Road Initiative. And on Wednesday, the CE's first policy address, John Lee also echoed this proposal. And he mentioned he will establish a steering group on integration into national development, which is 融入国家发展大局督导组, and to be chaired by himself. And he mentioned the four areas that this group is going to do is like the 2 of them are related to GBA. So the first one he mentioned is going to formulate a strategic plan for Hong Kong to dovetail with the 14th Five-Year Plan and the GBA development, and proactively forging ahead with development and the collaboration. And the second area is the formulate work plan and priority with the view to fostering a greater flow of people, goods, capital, and information within the GBA. So now I think it's clear it's a national strategy to how to develop the GBA area. So as a firm, we actually have started preparing for this many years ago. So KWM established its KWM International Center, which is based in Shenzhen in 2018. That was even before the announcement of the outline development plan issued by State Council in February 2019. 粤港澳大湾区发展规划纲要. Right, and I believe we also put into place what we call the Prepare program. So we have a program initiated in 2019 as well. The program is to recruit the best people, best graduates, and we select them to train them in Hong Kong and send them in GBA, our GBA office, Shenzhen and Guangzhou. So as you know, the KWM has 6 offices in GBA area and has 1 associate office in Macau as well, actually. And together we have more than 600 lawyers, and which provide seamless service for our international client. And I think with 86 million people in this region and more than nearly 13 trillion RMB-based GDP, and with all those activities and initiatives which will happen in the next going forward, there will be a lot of and huge demand in all kind of legal services, basically, and especially in relation to cross-border financial services, construction and project financing, infrastructure, intellectual property, because Hong Kong is going to develop into a regional IP training center and also dispute resolution center. So there is a huge opportunity for all service providers, not only legal, but all others.
Right. So I heard that you talked about recruiting talents and then you would train them. That leads me to the next question, because we know Hong Kong is taking forward the implementation of liberalization measures in legal services under CEPA. For example, companies in the GBA are encouraged to use international legal and dispute resolution services provided by Hong Kong professionals and Hong Kong residents who have acquired mainland lawyer qualifications, as now they're allowed to engage in civil litigation cases in relation to Hong Kong in the capacity of mainland lawyers. I'm sure your firm will have a lot of experience to share on that. Could you please share with us your views on this regard, and in particular, how does international law firms like KWM leverage this cross-jurisdiction network in the GBA to support your clients' business needs?
Okay, so the National 14th Five-Year Plan also expressly saying that it will support Hong Kong to become a center for international legal and dispute resolution service in the Asia-Pacific region. So the exam that you mentioned just now is the GBA Legal Professional Examination, which was held on 31st of July last year. Basically, if you pass this exam, it's created for lawyers qualified in Hong Kong and Macau. So if you are Hong Kong or Macau qualified lawyers, if you took this exam and if you pass, you will have a practicing certificate, which allow you to practice PRC law in 9 mainland cities in the GBA areas, including contentious and non-contentious matters. So basically, it means Hong Kong lawyers, with that certificate, you can go to court to deal with all those civil and commercial matters in those in the People's Court in those cities. And according to the media, 655 people attend that examination, and the 450 lawyers have passed and get qualification. So this basically, my view is this basically give the opportunity to the Hong Kong lawyers, because as we know, Hong Kong has only 7 million people population and only less than 3 trillion Hong Kong dollars GDP. But basically, with this examination, it catapult all the Hong Kong lawyers to a much bigger market, right? And it means that more Hong Kong lawyers could train themselves into interdisciplinary talents, which means they can advise both PRC laws and Hong Kong laws. And I think it will contribute hugely to the development and build up of Hong Kong as an international center for legal services. And on the other hand, I think involvement of those internationally trained, common law trained lawyers in mainland China, I think it will help the enterprise in the GBA area in the mainland immensely as well. And it will help those GBA companies to go international. And of course, KWM is naturally positioned in this arrangement, because many of our lawyers, most of our lawyers are duly or even tri-qualified in mainland China, Hong Kong, US, and or UK. So in that first exam, 12 KWM lawyers have passed the GBA Legal Professional Examination and have obtained their practicing certificate. So we have, and together, we can serve our international clients better. And later I can share you a few examples here.
Yeah, I'm sure you can share a lot of successful cases with our audience as well. So we can see that it's a win-win situation actually for enterprises in the GBA, international companies, as well as for the legal practitioners as well. So since we don't have a lot of time, so I'll let you share with our guests later on the successful cases that you have been doing at your firm for the GBA companies and also international firms. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you very
everyone.
much, Mr. Jiang, for the sharing. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause again to our speaker, Mr. Jiang, and also Mr. Lee for joining us online today. Thank you very much. 再一次感谢我们两位的嘉宾。Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you very much. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause to all our speakers just now, who helped us to understand a lot of potentials and opportunities in the GBA, no matter in the INT industry, in the financial sector, or the modern services sector, right? So I hope you have learned from our speakers and will be interested to explore more on the opportunities in the GBA.